Welcome back to the Moss Rip Curl Pro Portugal. The sky is still overcast, but the waves are getting better. Nice and rippable rights on offer for the world's best. Round 3, heat number 5, features 2 Australians, one goofy foot and Wilco, one regular foot and a former world champion, Joel Parkinson, going head-to-head once again as they are looking for a spot into round 4. Joe Chappelle alongside Martin Potter for the call. As we look at this great Aussie clash, we know the Australians love their pro surfing, growing up in real tight surfing circles, really dedicated to their board riders clubs. They just tend to breed champions like Joel Parkinson. I know it's fun to kind of rewind the clock. We kind of focus on what Parko's done recently. So we get back into the Parko story. Looks like he already got a wave here.
Yeah, Joel off to a quick start, trying to put the pressure on Matty Wilco. Some beautiful trademark stuff there from Joel. And then throws that tail out, just lets the fin slide a little bit. So 3 solid turns for Joel Parkinson. And can we say up into the excellent range, Joe? The judges loved that opening wave from Joel.
Quick start for Parko, an 8.67. So Wilco already with his back against the wall, and Joel has another wave. Jams it off the lip, deep bottom turn, straight up vert, but he overdoes it off the top and goes down. He's about to put Wilco in a quick combination spot. Just getting 2 quick waves, and the key thing is Wilco couldn't get involved with that last ride.
Yeah, well, Matty Wilco just with a 1.5 on his opening account right there. You know, he's going to wait for a certain kind of wave. I think he's been watching it. He watched what Nat Young did, you know. You can't control what your opponent's going to do. So you just got to forget about what Joel's doing right now. 8.67, okay, that's a great score, but you need to back it up. We've seen a lot of occasions this year where surfers have been unable to back those good scores up and gone down. You know, we've even seen guys lose with 10-point rides, Joe. So it's all about 2 solid waves, and you're only as good as your backup.
So true. So right now, Parko will work on improving that 2.5. He's always due for a quick start. Loves to get the first wave of all of his matchups. Had a challenging heat against Melling earlier, but now with this right setting up, offering multiple turns, you're just waiting to see what Wilco's going to have in store for us. Nat Young got that radical backhand approach, and Wilco gets just as radical, but has his own unique lines, and especially his transitions are beautiful to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got that real low center of gravity, bottom turn, gets that body all the way around and just drives it up into the lip. So Matty Wilco's got that backside whip as well, where he flicks the fins out and almost gets the board out of the water, facing back, the fins facing back towards the beach. So look for him to mix it up. He's going to have to if he's going to take down Joel.
Matt Wilkinson caught up with the World Surf League. You can check out that interview on worldsurfleague.com, and just said how almost not requalifying a couple of times really rattled him a bit. He realized that he wanted this big time. He started working with different people early, like Andy King, who's still on hand. Also, now recently picking up Glenn Hall full-time. It's just someone that gets him to do things he normally doesn't think of. Working out his boards, getting him in the water more often than not. You look at the previous matchup spots, a little ominous for Wilco, as Parko is still undefeated with 5 wins.
Well, I know one thing he's done for Matty Wilco, and that's make him get a haircut and have a shave. And it seems to be working for him. But, you know, I like the fact, I mean, we had him on the Dawn Patrol the other day, and he just looks way more focused, you know, way more in control, and, you know, and basically put it out there saying, look, I want to be in the top 10. You know, I'm tired of just making up the numbers on tour. You know, he realizes the talent that he's got, and I like the fact that he's thrown it out there to be in the top 10.
Liking that right now. Wilco still needs a 9.67 to take the lead off Joel Parkinson. Let's now think about that last heat. It was Nat Young who took out Sebastian Zietz with a huge combined total. Strider, how's he feeling?
Yeah, Nat Young feeling great after that heat. Highest wave of the heat, or of the day so far. You know, you came up against an in rhythm, in form Seabass. You must have been thinking about it before you paddled out.
Yeah, I definitely was. Seabass has been ripping a lot lately. Like, I mean, he's always ripping, but as of lately, he's been surfing really, really well. So I knew it was going to be a really tough heat, and I just wanted to go out there and give myself opportunities. And you know, I felt like I was surfing well. I just needed to get on those waves and just give myself chances. And you know, I got behind from the start. Seabass kind of started out good, and I was just like, I'm going to battle back. You know, I really want this, and I'm stoked I made through.
We've seen you go to the air before, but you're just getting it done on the face. You must be thinking about that when you're out in the heat.
Yeah, I mean, I can't land airs as like consistently as certain people. I can land airs, but I just didn't want to ruin an opportunity I got by, going for an air and falling, and if I would have lost, I would have looked back at that like that's why I lost. So I just wanted to put myself in a better position and then try to, go to the air.
Well, good fight back into it. Can't wait to see you in round 4. Congrats, Nat.
Thank you.
Nat Young off into round 4 action. He'll be in round 4, heat number 2. A lot of representation from the USA in round 4. Kolohe Brett take on Toledo. Toledo now lives in San Clemente, California. And Nat Young will take on the winner of this heat and also the winner of the matchup with Mick Fanning and Frederico Moraes, which is right around the corner.
Yeah, that's right around the corner, Joe. It's going to be on, that's for sure. But I like Nat's, strategy. Realizing that he was going to go to his strengths. Didn't want to blow an opportunity. Realizing that there's not a lot of good waves out there. On a full doing in air, and then look back and realize that's why you lost. So smart kid, and I think he's surfing really good at the moment. And if he can keep that kind of form going, it's going to be hard to beat.
Very true. Earlier today in Parco's heat with Melling, we were kind of talking about how Parco uses the FCS1 plugs in his board because he wants to feel the flex more on his surfboard. So he uses the old system. He goes even further with the tails of his boards. More often than not, you're seeing the carbon fiber on the tails of surfboards. He doesn't want to use that. He uses cloth patches. Says it compresses the tails more, but he believes that they're just a little bit more lively. Not everyone on the JS program does it. Guys like Julian, Owen, Dusty, Ace, those guys use like a hybrid fiber, which is a stronger fiber in their tails. I'm just so intrigued on how meticulous that Joe Parkinson gets with every single part of his surfboard.
That's why I'm not getting the zip out of the boards. But that's how much these guys look into it, and that's the kind of thing that gives him that extra little bit that he thinks that he needs, and it's like a science. I mean, we've gone to the days of just ordering a board. There's so much more that goes into it, and for Joel to be looking that deep into his equipment, it's going to give him that extra edge. He knows once he gets his feet on a board, it's going to be that. It's going to give him that zip, that pop. It's going to feel alive, and it's amazing.
Right now, Parco trying to keep his lead, but Wilco's on a left-hander, layback hook under the lip, ditches the fins, and he's down again. He'll try to recover, but he won't get credit as he fell back down again. We saw Wilco right before that fall on a backhand attempt. We mentioned how he broke that magic board this morning. Right now, he's just trying to find a finishing move in this matchup.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know if he has actually had a surf on this board before the heat, or did he pull a Kelly? Let's have a look here. Races down the line on his forehand. Beautiful opening turn right there from Matty Wilco. And right there, just lost the fins out the back just a little bit too much. Maybe wasn't anticipating that drift. Kind of lost his balance over his board, and with the whitewash, unable to get back on his feet. So a 3.17 due to that one opening maneuver. He was on his way to a good score, Joe.
So now down to the 20-minute mark in heat number 5 of round 3. Parco starting off with a huge number, the 8.67. We think about Parco's boards even further. Some of these guys go through boards so often. He had one board that lasted about 18 months. It was in that 1 year where he was winning everything before he got injured and lost that real first attempt to really clinch that first world title. They still have that board that they kind of will ride here and there these days. It's a little beat up now, but they can reference that as the secret magic weapon that they created a couple of years ago. And JS was kind of able to make his models based on that magic surfboard.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. I remember having a twin fin, a Glen Pang twin fin that I rode in pretty much everything, backdoor included, and I ended up having that board for about 3 years. And I would pull it out when it was small and gutless, and you just have that extra gear with it. So it's when you find those gems, hang on to them. I mean, they're not going to work in all kinds of conditions, but when you need them, you've got them.
So now 19 minutes on the clock here, round 3, heat number 5. We have Pete Mel downstairs checking out the lineup. Pete, how easy is it to be in the right spot for the best waves right now?
It's not easy at all. Usually you've got those rips with the lower tide. You get to kind of see where that smooth water is. Right now it's all fairly smooth, so it's not really anywhere you can go, okay, there's the rip. I'm going to go snuggle up next to it, and that's where the next wave's going to come. And then we've got that shorter interval and the swell. I'm sitting out here and all of a sudden, boom, a wave will pop right up. And so there's no way you can kind of look and scan the horizon. You can kind of see a bump, but you don't know really where to go. So it's really quick reaction times. You kind of have to just roam up and down the beach. A lot of kind of haphazard little peaks popping up. So it's really challenging to find quality waves.
Pete, when we think about the heat with Kelly and Brett, it seemed like a positioning issue as there were waves towards the south end. Was that the big difference in that matchup?
Yeah, well, I would say so. I mean, I was down in that south end, and there were several little right chips and some lefts that came coming in down that zone too. I mean, we've watched pretty much all day long, though. When the bigger sets come, that right is kind of in the spot, and that's kind of on that right in front of the tower and maybe just a little bit to the north. But now with the water's flooded in, it's kind of all up and down the beach, and so it's a bit haphazard.
Well, Pete, we looked at the forecast so often. What makes this venue so challenging to forecast? That's been a common theme over the past few years.
Yeah, no doubt. I couldn't pinpoint one thing. I mean, this is Portugal. It's a really wave-rich region. So sometimes, when the shorter interval, that's, I guess another reason would be the canyon. Sometimes the way the canyon feeds waves in here, it takes time for swells to kind of compile and come in and actually hit onto this part of the beach. You can look down the beach and see waves, and pumping onto the cliff and be flat right here. But it changes up, and it's just a unique place on the earth. Lots of surf, lots of wind, and the peninsulas feed winds doing different things. So it's just a challenging place to forecast.
Well, thinking about key heats we're having today, Mick Fanning's coming up next, Pete, against Frederico Moraes. Looking at the waves, if they stay the same as this matchup, do you think Mick will be heavily favored?
Well, I'd hope that Frederico has a lot of background and I think more than anything, he's just going to have the comforts of being in Portugal and having the crowd support behind him. But it's going to be just as challenging as a lineup as his opponent.
Good man, Pete. We'll be checking in with you throughout this exciting day. Three-time world champ Mick Fanning, defending champ of the Mosh Rip Curl Pro Portugal, is coming up next to take on Frederico Moraes, who has a huge name in pro surfing, really because of the damage he's done in this event as a wild card. As we look down the beach pots, we see a left-hander for Matty Wilkinson going for the air. Tail free, he's down. A struggling start for Wilco, and the struggle continues to put a decent number on the board.
Yeah, that last wave of 3.17, that big opening turn and then fell. You got an opportunity lost, and I mean, these heats fly by. 30 minutes, not a long time to get your act together out there. And just sometimes one mistake can kind of throw you off a little bit and change up your timing, make you sort of feel like you got to do more than you have to, and all of a sudden, before you know it, like Kelly said, that 9 minutes, he said, before you even had a wave, 9 minutes had gone. So your time does fly out there, and with the conditions the way they are, not a lot of opportunity, so you can't afford to blow it.
We're talking a lot about Parco's equipment. Wilco on the Darren Hanley's, solid shaper out of Australia as well, which actually Joel used to ride way back in the day. Same surfboard shaper as what Mick Fanning will be riding in this next matchup. So we look at this positioning again, Potts, these guys on completely different parts of the bank. Joel with priority. Just been waiting to improve on the 2.50. And that little wave is going to roll through. We're talking about certain venues around the world being hard to forecast. There's certain places around the world where almost any surfer can realize when it's going to be good. You can see how the competitors can use that to their advantage. What about if you're on the top 34 and you're surprised by waves, not being able to prepare, not really knowing what the waves will be like?
Well, I think that's part of it, though. I think, you're looking at the best surfers on the planet, so they're kind of prepared for everything. So no matter what, they rock up at the beach, no matter what kind of conditions thrown at them, they're kind of ready for it. And if they're not, they'll paddle out, they'll get a couple of warm-up waves under their belt, and before you know it, they're in rhythm, they've worked it out. So, these guys, that's what makes them so good, is the ability to adapt from this high tide, sort of inconsistent, to, maybe in the next few days, 6 to 10 foot, gnarly, crazy, washing machine type conditions. So that's what makes them the best in the world, is that ability to adapt.
So Parco now adjusting his position a little bit down the beach where Wilco's sitting. Just looking to better at 2.5 in his lead with 14 minutes to go. Looks like we have a couple opportunities heading into the contest area right out front. It's going to be Parco. Driving hard off the bottom, clean rip off the lip, jamming the fins out for the finish, and he'll control the tail slide. An exciting finishing move. Always stylish, beautiful flow. That'll get rid of the 2.5 quickly. Wilco moving into position, nothing on offer just yet.
Yeah, nice back up there for Joel, that's for sure. A couple of beautiful turns and, you know, just taking his time. 13.5 to go.
Well, now looking at an exciting matchup to come up next with Mick Fanning sitting on top of the Jeep leaderboard, taking on Frederico Moraes. Chelsea Cannell, how do you think this world title race is going to end up?
Well, that's exactly what we wanted to talk about as we see Mick warming up as he does before each and every heat. We're so used to seeing this routine from him, but the thing that's different about this is that we've been talking about world title implications, and this next heat is extremely important for him. You know, he needs to win this event in order to actually clinch a world title, but he also needs Adriana, who's in the heat right after him, to lose this heat. So these next two heats are really extremely important in terms of world title contention and everything that these guys have got on the line right now, Joe.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. I love your hiding spot right there, right next to the locker room.
I'm always right here. He's going to get a restraining order pretty soon, huh?
Yeah.
Love the focus, but the big news on the line, Fanning with a chance to clinch, but he needs to win, and he needs De Souza to go down to Vasco Ribeiro coming up next. So anytime Fanning loses before clinching, it's going to go to pipe, and if De Souza loses in this next heat, we'll get that math all sorted, and we'll see if Mick can go all the way. So it's a little bit out of his hands. So right now Mick reminding us that he's really focusing on his own game, and one thing he mentioned is he's really planning on it going to pipeline.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mick knows the caliber of competitor that he's dealing with. You know, De Souza, an amazing competitor. So, you know, Mick's not counting on trying to take it out here. He's just focusing on one hit at a time, making sure that he does what he's got to do to win those heats. Every time he gets through, putting the pressure on De Souza to have to perform as well. So he can't control what De Souza's going to do. Just make sure that he, you know, crosses his T's and dots his I's.
Right-hander setting up for Parco, hard off the bottom, and slips off on the forehand carve. The way before where Parco had the two-turn option, threw his fins out on the inside corner. That was a 5.83, and that put Wilco in a combination spot.
Yeah, Matty Wilco, a lot of work to do right now. 11:20 on the clock, so plenty of time. Enough time to get himself out of that combo situation. Couple of sevens, 14.51, so a couple of 7.5s, and he's back in the game. And for Matty Wilco, he's well and truly capable of scores in that range.
Always an entertaining surfer to watch is Matty Wilkinson. Joel Parkinson got the 5.83 to put him in combo. Let's have another look.
Yeah, using his priority on this one here, just a couple of quick turns and then throws the tail out right there, realizing that that first turn really wasn't too much, more just a transition turn to build that speed to make sure he finishes off with a bang.
This is Wilco, needs to answer back right now. First turn through the whitewater, nice and vertical on the next tack off the top. Still some room left for that backhand weapon. Clean connection off the roof, and he'll just slam it one more time on the inside corner. So starting to open up, searching for a rhythm. Now 10:24 remaining.
Kind of surprised that he's waited this long to actually go to his backhand. You know, you watched Nat Young in the heat before use it to his great advantage. They're getting some big scores. So, and that was just a little taste of what Matty Wilco can do on his backhand.
Mick Fanning takes the headphones off. And now all focus. Two-time champion in Portugal. So you can tell he's got a lot of fans. He's a hero to thousands and thousands around the world. And a year for him in 2015 that never could have been predicted. Digging deep, channeling good vibes, taking out a couple big wins, lower trestles, back at Bells Beach. Split the points in the final at the J-Bay Open. And doing his best surfing, coming up against Frederico Moraes in that wild card role. How would a guy like Frederico be feeling right now, Potts?
I think he'd be feeling pretty good. You know, you look at how he performed in that opening round against Kaloe and Adriana, and you know, dropping a 9.47. This is his home. He's comfortable. He's probably sleeping in his own bed. He's got his friends and family around him. There's a partisan crowd on the beach that are right in his corner, so you'd have to say that he's feeling no pressure, and Mick's got to really make sure that he focuses on this one and doesn't take Frederico for, you know, don't underestimate your opponent.
This is Parco, a lot of room on his forehand, throws it vertical, plenty of room for the carve, wraps it into the white water, now looking for a big finish. Fun inside section to slide the fins out. He'll recover and kick out of there. So last wave for Wilco, the right-hander to come back, a 6.83. He did break the combination there. So Wilco is needing a 7.68 before Joel's last wave.
You know, and that's how quick you can get yourself out of trouble. So Matty Wilco's kind of waited, maybe in my eyes, a little bit too long to go to that. Let's have a look at this first turn, straight off the bottom, and right here, drives off the bottom and gets that board beautiful and vertical. Nice committed surfing here from Matty Wilco, and it's that backhand rhythm that he gets. Once he connects with that first turn, that's when it starts getting dangerous for his opponents. Joel Parkinson racing down the line here. Nice up through the lip right there, just tears that lip off. A little wrap around, and then knows he needs something special here to better that 5.83. Slides the tail out right there. So Joel Parkinson always looking to improve on that two-wave total. Matty Wilco fighting his way back into this heat.
Joel Parkinson always had such a dreamy style to watch. Some people said he made things almost look too easy, where sometimes when he wouldn't get the score, as in the junior series or when he first qualified, people thought maybe he had to make it look harder, add more drama. We're happy that Parco didn't really do that, stuck to that style that we've grown to love, just making things look flawless. When you slow down what Parco does, you realize how committed he is on all of his big moves, all of his turns. But he had to hear that a lot in the early days. He had a lot of people critiquing his style and maybe asking him to make it look hard, but we would want him to make him look flawless all the time.
Yeah, why make it look hard when you can make it look easy? You know, I think that's part of his appeal, is the fact that he does stuff that's so critical and so radical that you know, it seems so effortless for Joel. That's the beauty of his style of surfing. You know, he's considered one of the best in the world and will be for a long time to come, and you know, just don't change anything.
So far so good for Joel Parkinson as he's trying to move into round 4. Matt Wilkinson did get a comeback wave of a 6.83, so needs just a 7.68 to try to move on. Down to 6.5 on the clock. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back in round 3, heat number 5, right after this.
Just as long as you're awake, you're searching for the best wave. Whether you're waking up or you're almost going to sleep, you're just thinking of how you're going to find that best wave. Just that most oil glass, different color.
Welcome back to the Mosh Rip Curl Pro. We're into round 3, heat number 5, an all-Aussie battle. Joe Parkinson taking on Matty Wilkinson. Parco started early with an 8.67. He even put Wilco in a combination when he got the 5.83, but Wilco's been fighting back. Got a 6.83 to break the combination, and now he's still hunting down the lead. While we were away, Wilco got a fun-looking right-hander, Potts.
Yeah, and it's that crazy backhand rhythm that once he gets going, it's dangerous. Right there, just connects beautifully. Off the bottom, off the top combo right there. Some major maneuvers from Matty Wilco. He finds a little bonus section through the inside. Just has a little look over his shoulder. Make sure the judges are watching. As we see Joel now races down the line, up and over the top there, little free fall drop. Sort of wrap around cut back for Joel, waiting for this wave to stand up for him. Is it going to offer anything else? A little cheese whiz on the inside. So Joel looking to improve on a 5.83. Matty Wilco looking for a 7.68, which I reckon is going to be knocking on the door right there with that last exchange.
Nice back-to-back exchange from Wilco to Parco. That right just opening up. Completely different story from what we saw early in the morning. Those early round heats, the bottom was dropping out. It was all about tube rides. Now it's all about performance on the open face. You have to be ready to adapt on demand. And right now, numbers are dropping for Matt Wilkinson. It's a 7.77. Hitting the jackpot, goes straight to first. Parko now needs a 5.93 on that last wave that he just had. He had the roundhouse cutback and the finish. Should he be close to getting his lead back?
Well, as I said, knocking on the door. Matty Wilco needed a 7.6. He got a 7.7. Joel needs a 5.93. You know, let's try and think back on that. Through the lip, you know, wrap around cutback. It's going to be close again, Joe.
Numbers now starting to average out. It does turn into a 6.33. Parko gets the lead right off of Matty Wilkinson. So Joel started in first. Wilco got the lead just for a half a second. Parko was on the wave behind him and earned the 6.33 to get the lead back. 2:45 remaining. Joel undefeated over Wilco in his career. Remember, their last real epic matchup was at the J-Bay Open in the semifinals back in 2014. That was the year it was flawless and pumping. Joel ended up finishing runner-up to Mick that season. But Wilco started kind of taking credit for being the modern-day Mark Occhilupo with some huge scores at Jeffreys Bay.
Yeah, took down Kelly Slater in that year as well. So, and that's a tough thing to do at Jeffreys Bay when it's pumping. Matty Wilco's definitely got the backhand attack as good as any. Well, he needs a little bit more right now with just over 2 minutes remaining. He's got priority though, so the next wave that comes through, he's got that opportunity. See a little bit of a lump approaching. Is he going to pull the trigger, Joe?
Decides not to. Holding back now with 2 minutes remaining. Watching that wave on our screen, peeling through. Is that a good decision?
Well, that's tough to say, Joe. It's easy sitting here saying you should have gone that, but Matty Wilco knows what kind of wave he needs. It's kind of in that same ballpark as the one he's just had. And the one he just had was about double the size of that. So, I mean, these guys are smart. You know, they know exactly what it's going to take. Try and manufacture a score on a mediocre wave. There's only maybe 2 or 3 guys on the planet that can do that.
Down to 90 seconds remaining for Matt Wilkinson, who said his goal was to move into the top 10 picture. But going up into a tough draw, a man who's had his number, talked about the heat at J-Bay. They actually had a heat out here at Super Tubos. It was a round 5 matchup. Parko went on to the final series. Parko's goal is just to kind of change this slump of slow results. It's been fun hearing him in post interviews in a place he's never been in his career. He said he's still competitive, still wants to win, wants to be in the top 10 as well before we close out this season. 53 seconds. Wilco still with priority. Remember, he didn't make a move on that little peak at the 2-minute mark. And now he has 45 seconds to make a decision.
Yeah, looks like the ocean's not cooperating right now for Matty Wilco. It's going to sort of go a little flat here to the back part of this heat. 30 seconds to go. Matty Wilco needing a 7.24. Just a little bit too late. Joel's answer back, that's 6.33.
And right now, Wilco's realizing it. Now he wishes he had that wave back at the 2-minute mark. There's a little peak starting to show itself, but it might not even set up to where Matt's sitting right there. 5 seconds remaining. He's going to have a dig for it. Into the countdown. The horn's going to sound a little bit too early for Matt Wilkinson. This score will not count, and he'll just burn off some frustration on the inside. Big throw tail, and he stomps it. So Wilco goes down in round 3, but shows us that he is definitely one of the best goofy foots in the world. Hopefully he'll pick up the pace of the Pipe Masters to get a little bit closer to his goal of moving into the top 10.
You know, I like the fact that he went down swinging. You know, he didn't get smoked. He didn't get blown out of the water. He surfed really well. He was in the heat all the way till the bitter end. You know, I don't know, maybe should have gone that one. It's easy to say, like I said, sitting up here, but Matty Wilco's going to be a little bit disappointed with that because he had one hand on that heat and Joel Parkinson just pipped him at the post.
Right there, an important win for Joel Parkinson, kind of sitting close to that cutoff for requalification. 15-point total brings him into round 4 to take on Nat Young later on in this contest. Now a huge heat for the world title race. World number 1, Mick Fanning takes on local wildcard Federico Moraes. We'll bring in Ronnie Blakey and Ross Williams for the call right after this.